My older brother Jeffrey, who attended the Central School, always wanted to be an actor. When he returned, I kind of got it from him and thought, oh, I'd like to try that. I did, and I've never regretted it. I've been quite fortunate. Dame Judi Dench, who is 90 years old, no longer sees the gaze of the audience, no longer carries a script in her hands, and no longer enters the stage under bright lights. Her eyes, which used to be able to guide hundreds of eternal characters, laugh and cry, are gradually turning dark. Her vision, along with an essential aspect of the acting profession she has dedicated her life to, has been lost due to macular degeneration. However, Judi Dench's tale is not a depressing tale. It is a symphony that never falters despite having powerful towering crescendos and calm, subdued sounds. In addition to being one of the best performers in Britain, Judi was born in 1934. She is the embodiment of classical theater, the face that revolutionized modern film, the feminist icon of the James Bond period, and an unwavering voice for the marginalized in society. Judi just grinned when asked if she intended to retire. That has never occurred to me. Age is only a number in her view. Losing her sight is not a sentence, but rather a disturbance. According to Judi Dench, art exists in memory, emotion, and the bravery to keep going rather than in the eyes. Come along with us as we explore that path. The unwavering spirit of a woman who made the decision to never fall before her time, not only the parts, the accolades, or the millions of dollars in wealth. A legend saying goodbye to life itself, but never to the stage. Judi Dench made her mark on stage and screen history with commitment alone, without the need for social media or controversial headlines. She started off as a shaky voice behind the curtains and gradually turned it into a sound that is essential to British art. Her piercing stare and her restrained yet eerie motions, which bring classical characters to life in front of your eyes, are hard to forget for those who have witnessed her perform live. Dench was immediately acknowledged as a theatrical phenomenon, starting in 1957 with the role of Oilia in Hamlet. She joined the Royal Shakespeare Company in 1961, the same organization that helped mold an actress whose work was once compared to a scalpel cutting through emotion. A Midsummer Night's Dream of Macbeth, the Duchess of Malfi. Every performance pushed both her and the bounds of British theater in general. However, Judi Dench was never limited as an artist to a certain time period or genre. With works like A Fine Romance and As Time Goes By, she entered the small screen with a natural charm and grace as television grew, bringing warmth and humor to British living rooms. She quietly but firmly carved out a unique niche for herself in the film industry, never being overt or predictable, while consistently engrossing audiences in the emotions of her characters. Then, starting with Golden Eye in 1995, she played M in the James Bond franchise, redefining what it meant to be a strong female character on television. She seemed little and calm, but every word she said was a surgical attack in a world of movies that has long been dominated by elderly male MI6 leaders. She was more than simply a daring casting choice. She marked a sea change in the brand, pushing it in a more humane and mature direction. M takes 8 turns, numerous more parts, an Oscar for Shakespeare in Love, and numerous nominations for Mrs. Iris Brown, Notes on a Scandal. Awards, however, were never Judi Dench's goal. As she once remarked, "I don't act to be honored. I act because I can't live without telling a story." For this reason, Judi Dench consistently makes an impression on audiences everywhere from theater to Hollywood, from queens to elderly mothers in assisted living facilities, from subdued tragedies to brilliantly funny supporting parts. She is the one who gives them a real face and enables listeners to identify with every word. Judi Dench does not consider painting to be a career. It is a method of surviving and living. Throughout her more than 70 years of fame, Judi Dench never let aging hold her back. However, she started talking about something that shocked audiences in 2012. She was gradually losing her vision due to a progressive, irreversible eye ailment called macular degeneration. Judi first made an effort to remain hopeful. "I can handle it," she said. "I am simply like a lot of individuals." However, time was harsh, and it required more than simply light. Her illness has gotten worse by 2024. Judi Dench was no longer able to drive, read scripts, or even venture out on her own for fear of falling. She stated bluntly, "I can't see," in an interview with the Fearless podcast. The words were gentle, even playful. "I have to have someone with me or I'll bump into something." However, beneath them was a silent suffering that only those who have survived to stand in front of an audience could fully comprehend. Being blind was more than just a physical handicap for Judi Dench. She lost the thing that made her who she was. She relied more on sound than sight, and moved by feel on set. She used visual memory to commit her lines to memory, a special talent that enabled her to perform her job without reading. "My memory is photographic. I can hold it in my head if someone says a line," she said. However, even that ability had its limitations. The fact that she continued to act was not what made her brave. Her refusal to hide was the root of it. She was honest when discussing her vision. No dramatization, no embellishment. Nothing is visible on the set. She told the Daily Mail, "I am illiterate." Macular degeneration isn't rare, she said, not because she wanted sympathy from the public, but rather because she wanted to establish an environment where aging and disability are no longer viewed as shameful, but rather as a reality shared by millions of people. Over 700,000 people in the UK have it, she stressed. Judi Dench, who is almost 90 years old and nearly blind, has emerged as a new kind of role model in the film industry, where perfection and appearance are frequently regarded as the gold standard. She once told Yours magazine, "We must continue. Do not obsess over your age." In keeping with that, even if her eyes are no longer able to see, Judi Dench still commands the attention of the world, not through vision, but by respect. Although she can no longer see the world clearly, Judi Dench has returned to a place where she can experience it via memories. A world apart in both geography and spirit, Judi Dench never left England, never exchanged the Western spotlight for privacy, and instead stayed with a place that had become an indelible part of her memory. The old house, the green garden, and the memories that never fade. Hollywood is often associated with opulent mansions in Beverly Hills. Nestled in the picturesque village of Outwood, East Surrey, this historic farmhouse was built in 1470 and is more than just a house. It's where her love, career, and even grief have been preserved over the years. The house is nearly 7,000 square feet and is the ideal combination of modern comfort and classical beauty. The ground floor opens to an L-shaped living room with French glass walls on either side that face a south-facing patio that is always flooded with afternoon light. An old stone fireplace, built-in bookcases, a flowing game room, a practical laundry room, and tall windows overlooking the garden connect the dining room to the kitchen, which has an island, a breakfast nook, and a door leading to a small courtyard where Judi frequently has her morning tea. There are 4 independent double bedrooms upstairs, including a master suite with views of the garden, built-in wooden wardrobes, and a large bathroom with a standing soaking tub, double sinks, and a separate shower. A private guest suite is located on the top floor, ideal for her daughter Finty and grandson's visits. Beyond the old stone walls, however, is what makes this house Judi's personal haven, her garden, a living piece of art with lush green lawns, well-kept shrubs, colorful seasonal flowers, and an underground irrigation system fueled by a private well is more than just a place to walk. It's a place to remember the people she lost. Judi refers to it as a memory forest, and once said, "Memories don't just come back, they become more magical every day." Each tree planted honors a loved one. The most valuable portion of her overall net worth, which is now valued at $45 million, is the estate, which is thought to be worth over $8 million, or over 10 million pounds. Her car choices also reflect her affluent lifestyle. Her cars are a reflection of British beauty. They are never ostentatious, but always important. In some of the most famous scenes from Skyfall, Judi played M, and Daniel Craig drove the classic James Bond vehicle, the Aston Martin DB5. Sleek bodywork, leather interiors, and analog dials are all representations of elegance and heritage. In real life, Judi has been linked to sleek, opulent, yet modest automobiles, vanquish Aston Martin. Strong because to its V12 engine, aerodynamic styling, handmade leather interior, and top-of-the-line technology. The Jaguar XJL is a high-end sedan with clever suspension, a roomy cockpit, ambient lighting, and heated massaging seats. With its quiet cabin, clever driving assistance technologies, and hybrid engine, the Audi Q5 is a more sensible option, ideal for pleasant, easy travel. These vehicles aren't particularly showy. They all capture the essence of British aristocracy: discreet, effective, and incredibly thorough. Judi Dench has always been surrounded by the glow of inner light, therefore she has never needed to pursue material glamour. Just a turtleneck sweater, a neutral-toned scarf, and a determined smile. No personal stylist, no flashy red carpet antics. While many celebrities choose to flaunt their wealth, Judi subtly raises the bar for her own level of luxury. One based on enduring value, attachment, and the depth of a woman who chooses to live a meaningful life rather than a superficial one. Judi Dench's heart never stops beating. She decides to totally immerse herself in every silent moment as the stage lights go down, fighting against neglect in care facilities, hospitals, and even the increasingly commercialized arts industry, planting trees in remembrance of loved ones, and raising money for animal rescue. Memory doesn't lie on stage for her. It's about starting something that others can continue. For Judi, compassion is demonstrated by concrete deeds rather than lofty statements. Every charity initiative she participates in, every letter she signs on behalf of the weak, and every step she takes into a community without ever wanting publicity. She just smiles when asked why she continues. Use your popularity for something bigger than yourself if you have it. Currently, Judi Dench is the patron and honorary representative of almost 40 charities, covering everything from social equality and children's rights to health and the arts. If you're famous, use it for something bigger than yourself, she once stated. And she has lived according to that principle by acting consistently and without fanfare or personal branding. Judi regularly participates in wildlife rescue efforts as Vice President of Fauna and Flora International, a worldwide NGO dedicated to biodiversity protection. She spent 26 minutes creating artworks with hundreds of other artists as part of the Sketch for Survival project, which raised money for endangered animals through auction. In Judi Dench's Wild Borneo Adventure 2019 on ITV, viewers witnessed a fervent Judi traversing streams, viewing wild orchids and orangutans, and conversing with locals as though her unshakable faith had never wavered with age. Judi transformed grief into action after experiencing personal loss, particularly after her husband, Michael Williams, passed away from lung cancer in 2001. She started assisting patients and research into the disease that claimed the life of the man she loved most by becoming a patron of Women Against Lung Cancer, a division of the Roy Castle Foundation. Additionally, she supports groups that assist individuals living with HIV/AIDS and the elderly in solitude, such as York Against Cancer, the Alzheimer's Society, and Make a Difference Trust. Her efforts are not limited to environmental and health issues. Judi also supports a number of theater organizations, such as the British Shakespeare Society and the London Drama Studio Alumni Fund, which provide young performers with appropriate access to training and stage chances. Acting has never been merely a career for her. It is a heritage that needs to be maintained and carried on. Judi Dench received recognition for her exceptional services to shielding children from abuse and injury in 2007 when she was admitted into the National Child Cruelty Prevention Hall of Fame. Even though she has never bragged about these accolades, she always shows up at neighborhood gatherings, assisted living facilities, and neighborhood libraries, places where people shine but not the spotlight. Judi Dench has never allowed her deteriorating vision to prevent her from seeing the world clearly, recognizing the important things, the places that require love, and the people who are in need of assistance. Her heart never stops, so she never stops. Judi merely grins and responds softly when asked, "How do you keep that spirit alive at your age?" "I think there's still work to be done," she says. Despite her involvement in charitable efforts, trips to the Borneo jungles, and talk show appearances, Judi Dench is still a regular woman at heart. A person who has experienced love, grief, and stillness while sitting by themselves at dinner tables previously filled with the voices of loved ones. There is a gap behind all the stage lights and unending kindness that no prize or performance could ever cover. The absence of Michael Williams, the man she had loved for 30 years. Michael was a genuine life partner in addition to being a talented actor. The British public loved this pair because of their modest devotion, respect for one another, and kind demeanor. They were married in 1971. They reared their daughter, Finty Williams, shared the stage, and spent the winters with firelight and script pages at their rural house. They were never the subject of tabloids. Instead, they were a tranquil, loving, and enduring example of an artistic marriage. Michael then passed away from lung cancer in 2001. Even though Judi was at the top of her game, she was still feeling empty despite the attention. She previously remarked, "I wasn't expecting to fall in love again." Through roles, her grandson, trees, and charitable work, she lived like Way for almost 10 years. "I just learned to live with the loss, but suddenly, like a soft interlude in a classical composition, a guy softly reopened a long closed door and entered her life." Mills, David. David was the founder and director of the British Wildlife Centre, where Judi first met him during an event in 2010. The seemingly insignificant chore of inaugurating a red squirrel enclosure marked the start of a new chapter in her life. It wasn't love at first sight for them. I wasn't prepared for it, but it came very slowly, very sensibly, and it's lovely," Judi recounted. David is a quiet conservationist who has no connection to the film industry and has never been in the spotlight. Without having to mimic Judi Dench, that was precisely what gave Judi a sense of being seen and heard. They don't share a residence. Despite not being married, they have a closeness that is almost indefinable, a friendship later in life. Silent when required, open when sufficient, and present when required. Judi never made an effort to let David's presence take Michael's place. However, he gave her a new perspective on life, gentler, less painful, and occasionally just enough to make you grin as sunshine streams through the garden on a calm morning. Judi Dench made the decision to open her heart for life itself, not romance, at a time when many people have closed their hearts to emotion. In an interview, she once said, "Love isn't just for the young. It can come later and still be beautiful if you let it." Between grief and hope, between the old and the new, Judi Dench discovered that pain is real, but the heart should never be locked away. And just like the characters she's portrayed, sometimes sorrowful, sometimes smiling, but always profound. Although Judi Dench is modest on stage and reserved in her personal life, she has never remained silent in the face of injustice, distortion, or social issues that call for a clear voice. Her real-life journey is also a profoundly moving tale that restores others' faith in renewal, even when it occurs slowly and subtly. Judi's candor is nothing new. From the beginning of her career, she was known for speaking her mind about the entertainment industry, politics, or gender bias. Even at 90, when many choose safety, she continues to be at the center of major debates, not to garner attention, but because an artist's conscience cannot be separated from real life. In 2014, Judi was among 200 well-known people who signed an open letter to the people of Scotland, urging them to maintain the unity of the United Kingdom during the historic independence referendum. As time went on, and many of her peers grew more cautious with age, Judi only grew bolder, embodying the spirit of a torchbearer for the older generation of artists, refusing to accept the distortions of the world, especially toward the vulnerable. That same decade, she joined Sting and Richard Branson in a campaign calling for global drug policy reform. It wasn't flashy or sensational, but it was clear and resolute. The move caused controversy, as any public political stance would, but she didn't back down. Judi believes artists shouldn't hide from politics, because silence is also a choice with consequences. Judi's love for indigenous communities was more than words, and she worked closely with Survival International to defend the rights of the Arhuaco community in Colombia and the Sand people in Botswana. They contended that criminalizing drug users only makes social problems worse. Judi stood there like a wise grandmother, making her case slowly but unquestionably, and the public listened. In 2022, after Queen Elizabeth II passed away, Judi Dench publicly criticized the Netflix series The Crown for fictitious dramatization, distorting the royal family's image, and misleading international audiences. She called them victims of racism, greed, and oppression. When a movie star speaks up for people who are almost invisible on the media map, it's not just meaningful, it sparks a ripple effect for countless humanitarian efforts that follow. Contrary to preconceived notions about a conservative artist, Judi Dench never identified herself with any political party. Her demand for a disclaimer, identifying each episode as fiction, rocked the media, but served as a sobering reminder in an era of fake news and emotional manipulation. She can change, but won't compromise with indifference. She speaks only when conscience demands it, which is what makes her position credible. Judi moved onlookers in 2023 when she and her partner David Mills appeared at King Charles III's Royal Ascot Parade, not with opulent clothing, but with the presence of a woman who has lost much of her sight, but has never lost her character or clarity of thought. Judi Dench possesses a unique moral weight in the world of art. She smiled, waved, and moved with grace, as though age were just a number. It seems as though no argument could ever convince her to deviate from her moral convictions. She doesn't need to dominate or make impassioned statements. It comes from conviction, legacy, and a proven life. You can see through and speak the truth, even when you can no longer see. After everything, including hundreds of roles, dozens of awards, the loss of her husband, the illness that gradually took away her vision, and the words that made the world pay attention, Judi Dench now leads a different kind of life. She is 90 years old and spends most of her time at her historic home in Outwood, where every room has a memory and every tree is a reminder of someone lost. It has changed from printed scripts to conversations that don't require dialogue, from endless filming days to tense lines under stage lights. But her life has never stopped. Not because she hasn't left, but because it's the only place she can still see clearly in her mind. And even though she can't read as well as she used to, Judi still loves to read, especially Shakespeare's plays, whose language she speaks like her native tongue. Her life isn't completely quiet now. In 2023, Judi published her book Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent, which chronicled her lifelong relationship with the bard's work, her personal reflections, and never-before-told backstage stories. Judi continues to make frequent appearances in the media at cultural panels, talk shows, book festivals, events that require no script, only honesty, wit, and her signature intellect. Even though she can no longer see the person in front of her clearly with her eyes, Judi Dench still sees the world in her own way. She can still recite a Shakespeare monologue from memory, even though she hasn't done it in decades. She can still laugh and tease her friends. She can also sense the weather through her skin. David helps her move around, goes to events with her, and sometimes they just sit together in the garden, say nothing at all, and still feel at ease. Her relationship with David Mills is unpretentious, unforced, and simply the steady companionship of two people who understand that love needs no paperwork or ceremony. No farewell tour, no tribute video, just a chapter that gently and rightfully closed. Judi Dench has never formally announced her retirement, but she hasn't clung to it either. In 2024, media outlets widely reported that she had quietly stepped back from acting as her macular degeneration made it impossible to continue working on set. She confirmed the news with a quiet nod. Even though she no longer performs, Judi Dench is still a living legend. She is frequently invited to royal events, such as the 2012 Royal Ascot Parade, where she appeared alongside David Mills with a gentle smile and a clear-eyed gaze. She also continues to give speeches at events for the community, the arts, and the elderly. Even though she is almost completely blind, she is aware of her continued significance in society as a voice that cannot be easily forgotten. Although she is no longer in the spotlight or on stage, Judi Dench has simply moved from the center of the movie theater to the front row of public admiration. From a storyteller with her voice to an inspiration through her presence. Every role she played, every statement she made, and every step she took on stage was not intended to impress, but rather to demonstrate that despite all of our flaws, convictions, and limitations, people can still live beautifully, bravely, and authentically. Judi Dench never sought to become a legend, nor did she create an image to appeal to the public. Despite losing her vision, saying goodbye to the spotlight, saying goodbye to the man she loved, and living through more than 70 years of a life that was never easy, Judi Dench never lost herself. She chose to move forward with the pride of a spirit that will not give up. And even though she can no longer see clearly, she has made the world look to her with respect rather than with eyes. Judi Dench's journey, from a young woman taking the stage as Oilia to an almost 90-year-old woman still speaking out for justice, memory, trees, and human values, is a living example of one basic truth: you don't need to see to be seen. Which role best describes Judi Dench, and what aspect of her life most resonates with you? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you again soon. If you enjoy stories about the legends that are still alive today, please remember to hit like, subscribe, and join us as we continue to delve into the lives of those who never give up to the passing of time.